It is 11:11 right now here on Maui. Feels like a really beautiful time to start this video, start this podcast with you. Today, I want to talk all about 2025 and the numerology behind 2025 and how that's going to impact female entrepreneurs in particular. If you're new, welcome. My name is Nadia. I'm the host of the Manifesting Entrepreneur Podcast. You can listen to me on your favorite podcast app, but I'm also recording it here on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe, comment down below your biggest takeaways, and share this with another entrepreneur who could benefit. So if you've been following along with the Delulu December challenge, or the exercise, manifestation exercise, I have been really talking about this transition from 2024 into 2025. And so I felt really called today to do a whole podcast episode, talking specifically about the numerology of 2025 and how it's such a powerful year for female entrepreneurs. So we are leaving the energy of, and I don't want to say we're leaving the energy, we're really transitioning the energy of abundance. So 2024, 2 plus 2 plus 4 is 8, which is the infinity sign. It's all about abundance. And it was all about really creating that audacious abundance within your life, within your work, within your business. And it's not so much that we're leaving the energy or transitioning. It's almost like we're using that, the vibe of abundance, to really kind of amplify and move us into this new year, which is 2025. 2 plus 2 plus 5 is 9. 9 is divine feminine leadership. And we've seen this so much in online business and just in entrepreneurship in general, where more and more women are starting businesses, are starting coaching businesses, courses, startups, all different types of businesses, all different types of areas. I'm focused more on coaching and mentorship because that's the space I'm in, but I've honestly worked with women who even have started e-commerce businesses and businesses in all different types of niches and areas. And so I want to share with you how you can really use what's happening next year to help take what it is that you're doing to the next level and really elevate it. So just a little bit about divine feminine leadership and the energy of the number 9 as it pertains to numerology is it's really about, so much so about, taking internally how you want to present yourself externally. And this is something with a lot of women in business, but just in general, where I think a lot of us are pulled so much externally about how we should present ourselves, how we should run our businesses, the strategies we should be doing. And 2025 is all about releasing all the shoulds and really focusing on how do you actually really want to do it. And so what comes to mind, one of the biggest things I think, just it doesn't even have to really necessarily do with business, but this has been coming up a lot in my feed. I've been seeing a lot of things on social media about this, about how, if you wear makeup and if you dress up, it's better overall for your business and for making money and all of these things. And while I'm not discrediting that and saying that that's not true, I want to remind you that how you dress and whether you wear makeup or not, it's really about, do you internally want to do this? And so there was a podcast recently where it was talking about how, so many people don't dress up at the airport in particular. People are wearing sweats and, they're just kind of wearing their sleepwear, and we need to get back to dressing up and looking nice at the airport. And while I do get that, it really has to come back to, do you really want to dress up and present yourself nicely at the airport? I feel like I've gone both sides. I've definitely, when I was working in tech and I was traveling for work a lot, I would dress up because I was going to be getting off the plane and going to work. But then there's times where I've, taken overnight flights with my kids and I just want to wear sweats and, maybe kind of zhuzh it up a little bit and present myself a little bit nicer, but also wearing things that are comfortable because I'm just going to be on this overnight flight. And so again, there's a lot of outside opinion about how we need to present ourselves. And I'm not saying that first impressions don't have an impact. I'm not saying that the way that we dress, it does reflect something externally to other people and the way that they're going to respond to you. But again, it has to be because you actually want to. You can't force it. So like today, obviously you can kind of tell I'm a little bit more dressed up. I have makeup on. I just was in a meeting, and so I presented myself a little bit differently. But I've done episodes where I'm not wearing makeup, where I'm a little more casual, because that's internally how I felt. I felt called to share a message, and I want to present myself that way. And so I just wanted to start with that to really kind of illustrate a point that when you are showing up online or you are presenting yourself with your business, it has to be a true representation of you for it to really take off and really be as powerful as you want it to be, because it's almost like you can't put on this facade and make it a way that you think it should be. It has to really be, how do you want to show up? And so I want to really dive into the energy of the first 6 months of 2025 to help you really kind of amplify what it is I'm trying to explain to you. And let me know any questions, any takeaways, any shifts you're having in the comments below, or reach out to me so we can have this conversation, because I know a lot of you as female entrepreneurs, you are hesitating, you feel like you want to share your voice, you're feeling called, but you're not sharing it because, again, it's, you don't think that you're presenting yourself in the right way or in the way that it should be. And I'm telling you, we need to let all of that go. Share and show up in a way that speaks to you. So when we're moving into the first month of the year, January is the first month, is connected to one. One is all about soul. So the month of January, it's really going to be about going inward to really share and reflect your story and your soul work externally. And so it's going to be about some of those inward moments, taking time for yourself, really getting in your journal, going on solo walks to connect in, because your soul is very, very, very quiet. It's a whisper. And I think this is a lot of times when we get pulled so much to the external, is because the ego is loud. You know, the external, other people's opinions and voices are really loud. And so you have to get quiet and sometimes have some alone time, some downtime, to really listen to your soul and your soul calling. And so the first month, it's all about connecting into what is the story that you want to share throughout the year of 2025. What is your soul work? A lot of you that I'm really connecting in with, you're really transitioning from more, I would say, an entrepreneur to a spiritual entrepreneur. You want to do more heart-centered work. You want to connect to your purpose, and that requires you to really connect in with your soul. And so it really is, the month of January is all about connecting into that. And something I want to emphasize and touch on is divine feminine. One of the biggest things that's really going to help you throughout the whole year of 2025 is all about mastery, but mastery from a refinement lens. So it's really about taking that thing that you've been doing or that's been tapping you on the shoulder, and you can connect into this. If you haven't been able to connect into this, January is a really powerful month for you to connect into this. What is that thing that you've always wanted to really focus on over the long term, for the next year, next 3 years, next 5 years, that you haven't been really putting your heart and soul into, but it's been tapping you on the shoulder? For me, it's the podcast. I've always loved podcasting. It's been such a powerful way for me to connect with you and to share my story. And so over this next year and the next 3 to 5 years, I really want to focus on mastery with the podcast and refining the podcast and really making it the best it can be, because this is the way that really connects into my soul purpose, and my soul work, to really share my voice and my story this way. So for you, it might be writing a book. It might be a product, offer, or service that you really want to refine. It could be so many different ways. It's going to be up to you to really connect into what that thing is. But really, the year of 2025 is about picking that thing that is going to be your big overarching focus, that you're going to focus on mastery. So yes, you can have other things, other moving parts in the year as well, but it's going to be that one focal point. Like I said, for me, it's the podcast. For you, it could be a specific type of business, a product, an offer, writing a book, doing a blog, just throwing things out there, because these are kind of the things that people come to me about. Maybe you want to start a new e-commerce business or things of that nature, but it's about focusing in on that one thing and really, like I said, refining it, getting as good as you can. And it's almost like being known for this one thing. Like, I do want to be known for the podcast, and this being the way that I really share my voice and connect in with you. And so that's going to require refinement and mastery over this next year and the next 3 to 5 years. So really think about that when you are connecting into your soul work, your soul purpose. What is that thing for you? I consider this podcast, sharing my voice, as part of my soul work, my soul purpose. So what is that for you? And then moving into February, the energy of 2 is all about boundaries. And again, as women, we tend to struggle with boundaries. Saying no when we should say no. A lot of times we say yes to things that we really want to say no to. And what this is doing is it's pulling us away from our soul work and our soul purpose, because we're putting our energy into all these different things instead of into the thing that we really want to help build momentum towards within our life and within our work and within our business. And so pay attention to that moving into February. Internally ask yourself, is this a yes or is this a no? And if it's a no, it's a no. And maybe it's going to be yes somewhere down the line, maybe in a couple weeks or a couple months. But in the moment, if someone asks you to do something, if someone brings an opportunity to you, if there's a partnership or collaboration and it doesn't feel like an initial soul calling yes, then it's a no. And we have a really hard time saying no. And this is something that I'm constantly working on too, is actually my karma number. So it's something very much externally that I have to be aware of. When other people are asking me to do things, do I actually want to do it? So pay attention to that in February, moving through the rest of the year. And then 3, March, it's so beautiful because it's connected to spring, and it's almost like this rebirth and coming alive from the winter months. And it's all about creativity. So how can you, again, internally really infuse more creativity into the work that you're doing? And for me, creativity really, really stems from being more of that visionary, more of that innovator, doing something that speaks to you. It's almost like in a being more of that artist energy as well, where it's, do you think it's amazing? Do you think it's beautiful? Do you think it's something that you need to share and create and bring out to the world? This could be, adding something new to your business, a new product. This could be revamping something that you've already created, but it's really getting into that flow and that energy of just creating something new and fun and fresh, or kind of revisiting something that you've done and really breathing fresh life into it. 3 energy definitely is more about a yes energy, but I would say because we're in this 2025 year, this divine feminine year, it's about saying yes to yourself, saying yes to your creativity, your ideas. Again, it's not so much external, but it's saying yes to yourself. So be really mindful and intentional about that in March, about saying yes to yourself. And then as we move into April, it is all about heart-centered work. And one of the universal laws I always reference, if you've been following along, it's the universal law of giving and receiving. And again, as female entrepreneurs, as women in general, we are so good at giving. We give and give and give and give and give, but a lot of times we block the receiving. And we often block the receiving when it comes to our money. And so I want you to pay attention to this in the month, again, all year, but especially in the month of April. How do you need to really give back to yourself and focus in on the things that you want to share from a heart-centered place? And when you are giving, being mindful of also accepting the receiving that's going to come in. It's a universal law, so it's going to naturally come in for you, and you need to be open to it instead of blocking it. And so this usually looks like, people offering to help you in some way, people offering to pay you, people offering to pay you more than what they originally were going to pay you. And a lot of times say, no, just give me the, what I originally was going to charge you, or no, it's okay. But it's all about yes, yes, yes. We're going to that March energy of that creativity. We're saying yes, yes, yes. This is what we're doing moving into April. We're saying yes to things. We're being open to receiving. So in the month of May, we are getting into that teacher energy, speaking our truth, teaching other people based on the things that we know, again, internally. So this really speaks to a lot of you who are transitioning from that entrepreneur to spiritual entrepreneur. A lot of times what happens is we are very, very much teaching and speaking what we think we should be teaching and speaking based on what other people are telling us we should be teaching and speaking, instead of really teaching and speaking what we really want to teach and speak on. And so again, going back to that soul work, that soul purpose, that soul story that you did in January, you're going to really amplify that a lot more in the month of May and really get comfortable with sharing your voice, sharing your truth, however that speaks to you. So for me, it's the podcast. For you, it could be maybe doing a series on Instagram, or it could be through an email newsletter that you share, or it could be through, a workshop or something that you want to teach on, a book you want to write. It could be so many things. But it's really about getting comfortable with sharing the story that is internal to you that you want to share externally, and really using your voice. And again, I know I keep emphasizing this, but it's really about the internal versus the external. And then 6 is a very interesting energy in the month of June, because the thing about 6 is it's a manifestation number. But what happens a lot of times with 6 is we're either so much in our mind, we call it like kind of the monkey mind, where we're kind of like in a sense spiraling. And so we kind of end up manifesting chaos instead of manifesting with intention. And so again, back to the internal, it's really going to be potent for you to be intentional about your manifestation in the whole year of 2025, but especially in this month of June in 6, the energy of 6, to be intentional, not to be all over the place. If you're multi-passionate, if you have a lot of ideas, this is the month to really hone in on that one idea. Again, that thing that you want to master and refine, like keep coming back to that. So for me, it's going to be keep coming back to the podcast and focusing on that instead of letting my mind go to all these other things. Not that you can't have other projects and other things you want to bring to life, but it really, really is about focusing in on that one thing and really allowing that to manifest and putting that energy into that thing. And I know, again, that can be challenging when you're multi-passionate, you have a lot of ideas, but it's almost like you can't get to the next level and you can't really see things to the end. This is a lot of times where we feel like we're trying to manifest something and it's not happening, or we're trying to, there feels like there's a lot of force or resistance. It's because we're kind of all over the place. So it's about honing in so your manifestation can actually come through. And so I really want to emphasize these first 6 months because they are the most foundational months for setting up for the rest of the year. And moving into the rest of the year, there's a lot of other things that we can sort of touch on. I could probably do like a part 2 of this to really dive into that, to kind of give you more insight of the energy of 7 through 12, which, that's kind of what we're in right now. We're in the second half of the year. But I really wanted to emphasize the first 6 months because it's really laying the foundation for the whole part of your year. So like I said, it's about connecting into your soul work. It's about setting those boundaries, being creative, really being open to the giving and receiving energy, really focusing on your heart-centered work, sharing your voice, sharing your truth from an internal place, not based on what you think you should be sharing, and then really focusing on that mastery, that refinement, that manifestation that you want to come through instead of being all over the place. Focusing on that mastery. And that's the energy of divine feminine. She is really focusing on that one big picture thing. Like I said, you can have other moving parts. There can be other things you're trying to create, but it's like that one overarching focus that you want to really bring to life and really refine and master. And honestly, it's like being known for this thing. And that's how I feel with the podcast, with the Manifesting Entrepreneur mission and movement and mastermind that I'm creating, which I would love to have you part of it. Just to let you know, just to slide this in here, it's coming through, but I am opening up, or I have opened up applications for the Manifesting Entrepreneur Mastermind. So if any of the things I've been talking about really speak to you and you know that it's time for you to transition into more of that divine feminine leader, then get inside the mastermind. We start in January. And I'm really going to be taking the energy and the concepts of each month that I just shared with you throughout the mastermind. So the mastermind goes from January until September. So we're going to go all the way from your soul work all the way to divine feminine leadership. And then I'm ending it with Manifest on Maui retreat, which I'm so excited about, my first retreat that I've done. And so if you want to take some of the things I've been talking about and really take it to the next level and really embody it, then get inside the mastermind. And then in addition to that, as I've been really touching on the fact that podcasting has been this beautiful way for me to connect in with you, I want to help more of you who feel called to podcast start your podcast. I like to call them your soulful podcasts because, like I've been sharing, there's so much external noise about podcasting this way and doing these things. And of course, there's so many beautiful podcasting strategies that help you grow and help you really connect in with building your business using your podcast. But it's also about how do you want a podcast and what's the way that's really going to speak to you and the way that you want to run your business and live your life. And so that's what it's all about. So if you've been feeling called to podcast, but you feel a little overwhelmed by the whole concept, then again, I'd love to connect in with you. Everything's going to be linked down below. And I'm going to be doing another Delulu December video. I wanted this to be kind of like a one-off because this was really coming through to share with you the numerology of 2025 and how it's just such a powerful year for divine feminine leaders, for female entrepreneurs to really take what it is that they're doing and elevate it. But I'm going to do another episode as well, getting back on track with Delulu December. And so stay tuned for that. Be sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed. Comment down below if you're watching here on YouTube. And I will chat with you very soon.